Is science a religion? I bring it up because a few years back, South Park had a really interesting episode where essentially there was a war going on between two different sects of science over a difference in belief. Instead of exclaiming, "Oh my God," they would yell, "Oh my science." Throughout many, many years, human beings had plenty of questions about the universe, about the planet Earth, about everything. And they don't have the answers, so in order to get some sort of an answer, they subscribe towards religion. Well, nowadays it's not cool, it's not hip to believe in God. So, most people see religion as just a bunch of foo-foo fairy tales. So they look towards science, and essentially any belief system with a data point presented with it now can be considered science. Most people get their scientific beliefs from the pop culture because unfortunately at some point most human beings are tribal. They feel a sense of security in numbers, and thus just like a whole bunch of buffalo, they fall off the cliff for whatever's popular at the moment. They get their pop culture presented to them from the media. The media no longer really is as free as it once was. The media has been bought and paid for by corporate interests. And it's not just, the corporate interest, but it's the whole fact that a lot of the science you're getting nowadays is flawed science. It's biased. There's variables floating all around the place, which basically is now a slap in the face to the whole scientific method. But like I was saying, there's a corporate interest. And that corporate interest, particularly when you come to food science, presents itself quite clearly. Corporations like the Surly Corporation and the current Monsanto Corporation were responsible for testing their own products for safety. Why would a corporation which has the possibility to make a large amount of money want to say those products are deadly? Thus, you have a lot of people saying that, well, we can't rely on corporations to do the studies, let's rely on government. The problem about government is that government isn't reason. Government is force. And most of the time, when government has a study that needs to be conducted, they look towards the people in the field. Many times the people doing the study are currently holding a position in the field. If not, it's just simply a revolving door back and forth between the corporations and the government. You have to understand that a lot of people doing these studies or in charge of these organizations, they have a heavy retirement package in a previous corporation, or they have a large portion of stock ownership. So they already are biased and compromised. But another interesting point to bring up is that a lot of people in the field of science have interesting beliefs. They want to study certain things which may not be popular things. Their scientific beliefs may not be popular ones. Let's just say you're a scientist and you want to study the history of giant squirrels on the planet Earth. You can't get a lot of funding. So what you do is you'll attach something silly onto the end of your experiment just to get your own work published. You'll say, I want to study the history of giant squirrels on the planet Earth in relation to ancient aliens, because that's what's popular in pop culture right now. As you can see, there's a room for a little silly business going on with this science. Now, you could just type it into any search engine, do scientists cheat or, flawed science, and there's plenty of videos and documentaries talking about it. In fact, without really searching for anything, just popping, something into an image search, I found this chart. Percentage of scientific papers retracted annually from 1990 to 2009. And as you can see, it tends to be an increase. Here's just some quick little bullet points, which once again you can question the science of these points, but it's still something to think about. According to one investigation, 1.97% of scientists admit to having fabricated, modified, or even falsified data or results at least once. 33.7%, no, that's over 1/3, admitted to changing the methodology, design, or even the results of a study under pressure from a funding source. When evaluating the behavior of colleagues, essentially scientists studying other scientists, 14.12% was the rate of falsification, 72% was for questionable practices. Another study found that 3% of scientists admit to just plain old cheating. One of the problems in our society is that anytime you put someone in a white lab coat, all of a sudden now, not only do they become more intelligent, but they also become more trustworthy. It has something to do with the perception of a doctor in our society. If doctors were really so intelligent, why would there be so many issues with prescription drugs? Why would so many people be dying from complications with prescription drugs acting on one another? So you have to understand that if people in lab coats were so intelligent, why would not just the doctors but the pharmacists not notice these problems? As a side note, just something of interest, ask your doctor, what's titanium dioxide? Ask your doctor, what's sodium fluoride? See if you get a response. One of the real problems is that years ago, people who had a difference in beliefs and based on religion would create war with one another, kill one another, consider one another a heretic, essentially have a witch trial. That's not good for society. And years ago, science acted as an intermediary, a peace-solving party. Well, now, scientists are actively considering other scientists heretics, particularly when it comes to the fields like, say, environmental science. Because they have a difference in belief, now all of a sudden they can't be talked to, treated as if they're part of a different caste system. Also, it's not just men of science, but it's also now people of faith, people who want to remain neutral in science but subscribe, let's say, to a certain religious belief, even if it's non-violent, now are considered also heretics and people of maybe even a sub-race. This is just a little photo I made to kind of illustrate that point. Now, one of the most despicable things I've ever seen occurred in the United Kingdom. I guess you can call it the 1010 Initiative. Essentially, it was a belief system where people were trying to protect the environment based on, once again, certain data about environmental science. And in the commercial, there was people who were neutral, people who didn't want to get involved in this type of environmental science and were just generally peaceful people going out throughout life. Well, those people were murdered in these commercials. Essentially, by pressing a button, one of the figureheads in the commercial would literally explode and kill another human being. Some of them children, some of them just average people like a soccer player. And just to show you what would happen, this was a soccer player. What does this vile disgrace have anything to do with science or anything whatsoever, even trying to help humanity, turning someone into a blown up piece of organs? That's not mature. That's just childish. So I'll leave you with this point. If you're really a person of science, the goal you have in life is to go out and seek the truth, constantly question things, constantly be skeptical, and look for the answers, look for truth, look for what makes things tick, and constantly be open to new ideas. If you, say, stop looking into and questioning things and start subscribing to beliefs, and in fact even going out and enforcing beliefs now, you're no longer a man of science, now you're actually a person of religion. You are now supporting a religion similar to the Spanish Inquisition. So that's my opinion on that. Take care for now.